Labor also remains a key concern on farms across the country, and this is especially true for specialty growers that need to hand harvest and hand weed. Western Growers, a co-op based in California, has been doing break-evens, figuring out the difference between weeding via laser and weeding via hands. We spoke with Walt Duflock, the Ag Tech Innovation Lead at Western Growers, about what they've learned.
Well, the case studies were a big initiative that we took a while to get right and roll out. And what they tell us is that if you know the math of your operation and you know the math around the automation solution you're looking at, you should be able to figure out how the ROI comes out for you. And so the case studies are part one of that. Let's show the growers how other growers that look like them are using the robots and doing the math. So if you take a look at Carbon Robotics, the first one we did, this is a laser weeder that costs $1.4 million, right? So it's an expensive laser weeder. How did Braga Fresh, one of the biggest growers of conventional and organic and regenerative, look at the math? Well, they took 3,200 acres of organic crops across 7 crop types. They took a year one look at labor and they said, how much was weeding for our labor crews year one? $2.1 million. They looked at year two and they say, how much was that weeding with labor and robots year two? $1.3 million. So the $800,000 is the key to breaking the whole thing even. After 320 days of usage, you break that robot even. And once we knew that, we can roll out economic templates so folks can do their own math. And they can do that or we can help them. But the key to the case study was really doing the math that says, how much does that labor crew actually cost fully loaded? How much does that robot cost fully loaded? So you got to transport it, got to move it around, got to put somebody there to drive it or manage it. And we did all the costs on both sides. That's how we knew with Braga's help that the $800,000 number was out there. That's how we knew you could break that thing even in less than 2 years, even at $1.4 million. So knowing your numbers turns out to be the key.
These case studies dive deep into the details of the Western Grower members, but you go a step beyond that with economic templates. What are those templates? How do they benefit farmers?
So the template's just a fancy word for a nice spreadsheet, right? And it turns out the first key is to give them the spreadsheet template. So we did that, and it's about 30 lines of stuff that you need to pull out. Fuel, people, logistics, time, transport, all that stuff. And the key is, when we went out and did these case studies, you had a Western Growers team member of mine, Ben Pallone, go out and pull these numbers from the organization. Well, guess what? The same people that are organizing the labor are not always the same people that are organizing the trucks and the logistics, the transportation, the housing, and all that kind of stuff. So you've got to go into each department that touches some of the weeding operation and pull numbers out of them for a full year. That's not easy. So getting that baseline data was hard, and so getting the template out there helps people understand, look, you should read the case study, but that operation isn't yours. Braga Fresh runs an acre count that they have, a conventional and organic and a regenerative acre count that they have. Your operation's different. They're spread out over the acreage. You may not be. They're in different growing regions, growing locations, stuff like that. So we've got to do the math for your operation. Your logistics are going to be different. Your trucking is going to be different. You may be using domestic labor. You may be using international labor, right? So basically, the template is the wake-up moment for the grower to realize you've seen Braga's math in the case study. Let's do your math, because their math doesn't matter once you know yours. Your math matters.
Thank you, Walt, for that update. Fascinating changes happening on the ground.